Celeste Bunting, and I'm going to talk about teacher shortages. I had the honor of working with Beth for a few years while we were both in the same district. And I just have to say, I don't think you'll find a more dedicated educator and administrator. They always forget. So.
Pull the mic down a little bit.
Oh, sorry. How about now? So it's a hard act to follow now. I've been a personnel director at Indian River School District. This is my 17th year. So I have seen the ebbs and flows of education. When I first started in 2006, we had a really good pool of teachers. We may post a position, I'm probably gonna look at that a little bit because she knows as well, and we may have 100 applicants. So we could pick the cream of the crop from those applicants. Over time, even before COVID, and I always hate to say pre-COVID, post-COVID, but it has affected education. We started to have a teacher shortage. So we had fewer teachers per position, especially in the secondary area, secondary math, secondary science, special education. We struggled to find those teachers. Now, with COVID, that was a game changer for a variety of reasons, and that exacerbated the national teacher shortage. We know there's a teacher shortage in Delaware. It's national. We're all fighting for teachers. So with COVID, you know, we had the world working remotely or being at home. Teachers worked remotely for a period of time. A lot of other educational folks had to go in, but then we had teachers who wanted to stay remote. They didn't want to be in the classroom. They didn't want to come back. We had substitutes, retired teachers who would sub for us, which understandably were fearful to come into the classroom to continue to sub. So that exacerbated the issue. We have fewer people going into education. I've attended probably 200 or 250 career fairs since I've been a personnel director. I've been at career fairs where we'd have 1,000 applicants. And in the last couple years, we may have 200. I was at a career fair in Baltimore, we had 2 applicants. And we had 25 districts there. So there's a teacher shortage. Why is there a teacher shortage? So in universities, in colleges and universities, fewer people are going into education. We notice even in Delaware, the educational programs are getting streamlined. There's fewer majors that the colleges and universities choose to have for teachers. That's one of the biggest things. It's not cool to be a teacher. I had a school counselor say, you've got to make it cool for kids to want to be teachers. A lot of it, Beth talked about it, the discipline. That's one of the biggest reasons we see people leave, whether it's early retirement, whether they walk away from the profession, whether they go into the private industry. Negative press coverage on both sides. So you see the negative piece. Teachers are scared of getting sued. I do think with all the federal and state requirements, it's a lot easier to be sued. You know, teachers are, and districts in general. So that's a difficult situation. Parental support, I think sometimes that's an issue. I know when I was in school, a million years ago, if I got in trouble in school, which I rarely did, but if I did have a detention one time. When I got home, my mom knew it and I was in bigger trouble at home. And everybody, you know, knew that piece. I think that piece is lacking a little bit. Current teachers who are dissatisfied with their jobs talk negatively to their own children sometimes, and they're burned out. Teachers are burned out. So then fewer people are going into the profession. Since COVID, we've seen a huge uptick, and Beth talked about it, with the mental health issues. There's mental health issues with students and with our staff members. I think many people are struggling, so that teachers have to be okay to be able to teach children. So we've got that piece of it as well. And I think the non-instructional requirements, we do an exit survey, and why do people leave? And a lot of times, and people say it slightly different ways, I want to teach. So they are required to have, and it's the nature of the world right now, to be all these different roles for students. In Delaware specifically, certification requirements. Delaware has very strict certification requirements. And I've sat on different committees, over the years. We don't always make it easy with the states around us for student teachers to come into Delaware. So Delaware may require a certain Praxis 2 test. That's a test you have to take in a content area did I mess that up?
Try now.
How about now? I can use my teacher voice.
Teacher voice.
Okay. So in Delaware, you have to do a Praxis 2 for content. You take a test to see if you know your content. In some cases, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland may require a separate test. So in Delaware, sometimes we've gotten better about that, but we still require the Delaware test. So then we're requiring students to take another set of tests, and it's expensive. Also with reciprocity, if you have an experienced teacher in another state, the reciprocity issue is a little bit better. But if you have a brand new teacher,
we tested these extensively.
That's okay. I can really be loud, so. Oh, now I am. Okay. So if you have a brand new teacher, and let's say I'm a brand new teacher, and I'm looking at Delaware, New Jersey, Maryland, and let's say I went to school in New Jersey, and New Jersey says I have to do these requirements. Delaware may require a whole additional set of requirements. So why would I leave my state to go to another state that's going to require additional requirements? I do think Delaware's making some progress on that. Also with the Praxis 2, we have people who are incredible teachers, they're bad test takers. So the Praxis 2 in Delaware for years was the end-all and be-all. Now the Delaware Department of Education has instituted something called multiple measures, where if I score, I may not pass a Praxis, but I'm close, and you look at my GPA in the content area in the college, and you look at my performance assessment. So you look at a comprehensive view, and we have teachers who, but for that multiple measures, would not be allowed to teach. So we're starting to keep teachers. I don't think a test should prohibit somebody from teaching, as long as they can show knowledge of the content area. I do think some things we are doing to help teachers. The state of Delaware has earmarked grant funds for year-long teacher residencies. These are funds to have student teachers be year-long residents, and they're paid. So it's a year-long residency. You get to see teachers from day one, the students, till the end of the year. So you're in it for the whole process, and you're part of the team, you're part of the school. I think that's a positive. For Indian River, and I'm sure we're not alone, when I first started, most people went through the traditional teacher pathway. I went to school to be a teacher. I wanted to be a teacher, I went to school to be a teacher. We would have very few people, it's called alternative routes to certification. You maybe my husband did that. He went to school to be in business. So he was in the business world for a while, and then he decided to transition into teaching. With alternative routes, you have the content area, you're hired as a teacher, they throw you into the deep end, and you learn as you go. You learn the pedagogy. For us at Indian River, the vast majority of the people we hire are alternative routes. We have so few people going through that traditional teacher pathway. So we have to tap, look outside the box and tap folks who have that content knowledge. Delaware's also looking at apprenticeships for teachers. The feds approve teachers as an apprenticeship area. So Delaware's now looking into that. So I think that's another pathway for teachers as well. So right now we're hiring for next year. So where I used to have a pool of 50, 100 teachers, I might have 5, 6, 7, 10 if it's an elementary teacher. I might have 0 applicants. We've had some postings where we have 0 applicants. So unfortunately, I don't see it getting better immediately, but I do think as we look at ways to make the classroom a better situation and support parents and support students who want to be there, then hopefully that will get a little bit better. Thank you.
Excuse me,
Yes.
what about the vax mandate? What about the vax mandate? How has that affected teachers?
Well, it's the vaccination mandate.
Yeah,
It's not required. You can have some opt-outs for that as well. For teachers that we did not, our teachers were not mandated to have it.
okay.
So we did have some teachers through COVID who left. They did not choose to be in a classroom because either they had a health condition or things like that. So that was affected during that time.